What's up, everyone? I'm James Young with James Young Photography, and I'm bringing you episode number 25 of Teach Me How to Lightroom. Today, we're talking matte finishes on black and white images. So we're gonna take a look at this image I took on a portrait session, and we're gonna make it real dreamy with this black and white look. Don't forget, there's a link in the description to the raw file down below, so you can follow along with this exact tutorial, or maybe take the edit in a completely different direction. Obviously, that's up to you. Let me know if you edit it differently, post it on social media. All of my information's down there as well, and I would love to see what you got. Well, let's get right into it. The very first thing I want to do is drop a medium contrast curve right into the tone curve. The way I'm going to do that is next to point curve where it says linear. This is a drop down list, and I'm going to click it, press medium contrast, bam, there you go. This is where I like to start 99.9% of the time. Next thing I'm doing is I want to correct my composition just a little bit. You can see here I accidentally cropped her toe a little bit. That's okay. We can clone that out, make it look like grass is covering her feet. But what I really want to do is make this straight and crop it in just a little bit and have her land right in a third. Now, the reason why I didn't get this quote unquote right in camera is because I'm shooting at f1.2 and I wanted a sharp image, so I did not focus recompose. I wanted to recompose in post. So let's make our way down the basic panel. Right off the bat, I know I want to increase the contrast just a little bit, so we're gonna go about plus 35 or so. So let's make our way through the basic panel. Now, obviously, we're doing black and white, so the very first thing we want to do is at the very top of the basic panel, treatment right here, you can see it's set to color. So if you just click on black and white, it will do exactly that. And just a quick tip for you, if you press V on your keyboard, it will toggle back and forth between color and black and white. Bam, 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 good to go. So right off the bat, I know I want to hit this with a little more contrast, so let's bump that up just a little bit, about 35 or so. And this background seems pretty bright, so I want to back that down just a little bit in the exposure, about maybe minus 0.3. But check out what that does to her skin. It makes it look gross, and this is a portrait and it's all about the skin. So when you're doing black and white, there's something pretty cool you can do. So let's scroll down to the HSL. And because we're mixing in black and white, it gives us the black and white panel. Now check this out. All of these sliders here represent kind of the total exposure for what would have been that color. And the easiest way to show this to you is if I go back to color by pressing V, and you can see here lots of greenery around our subject here. So I'll press V again, and it's gonna bring us back into black and white. And watch what happens when we manipulate the green slider. If we bring it super far up, all the greens go up in exposure. And if we bring it all the way to the left, super dark in exposure. Now, what does that mean for us? Well, that means when I lower the total exposure here and I come back down to the black and white panel here, I can actually pull more exposure out of her skin tones by changing the sliders here. Check this out. So if I go to orange, it's set to minus 16 by default, and I crank it all the way up, boom, turns into a ghost. Not exactly what we're looking for. So we're gonna be real light-handed with it and do maybe about plus 30. Reds, we're gonna do the same thing. You can see there's some reds in the skin tones there. If we back it all the way down, looks awful. If we bring it all the way up, also looks awful. That being said, we'll be pretty modest with it. Somewhere about plus 25. And when we turn this off and on, you can see here that with it off, skin tones are darker than the background. Not that great. Turn it back on, skin tones are now a little bit brighter than the background, which is the exact thing we're looking for. Now to accentuate this look, we're gonna go to the greens, bring the greens down just a tad, about minus 49 right there, and then bring the yellows down just a little bit more, about minus 30. Cool. And again, now to turn that off and on, makes a very substantial difference. So let's go back up and modify some of these as well. So we're gonna take the shadows, we're gonna bring them down just a little bit. And let's bring our whites up some. Very good. Now with the blacks, we want to come down just a little bit on those, about -10. Very good. Now with the presence, with an image like this and a background like this, it would be pretty cool to crank up the clarity slider here. However, looks terrible on skin, so we're not going to do that here. We're actually going to bring it down just a little bit, because again, this is a portrait. Skin tones are of the utmost importance. We'll get back to clarity in a minute. So I'm totally happy with what we've done here with the skin tones and the basic black and white edit here. So let's take it a step further and really make this background moody. So let's grab our graduated filter. You can press M on your keyboard to get that, and let's double click on effect. That's just gonna zero out all the sliders. With the exposure, let's go about -0.5, about half a stop of exposure. With our clarity, let's go up to about 50. 52 works. And with our sharpness, let's go down about -57 there. So from the right, dragging to the left, let's bring this graduated filter in. Awesome. So when you hover over the node, you can see at a glance where in the image it's being affected. So you can see there's a little bit of falling onto the subject here, which is the opposite of what we want. So if we turn it off, turn it back on, you can see it is affecting the subject just a little bit. Now to fix that, we're gonna take a very soft brush and mask that out. So when you have brush selected, go ahead, click erase down here, and just simply erase that off your subject. Not too difficult there. So now when we turn it off and turn it back on, you can see that our subject has been unharmed by our graduated filter practices. Now we want to do that on the left side as well. So from the left, dragging to the right, we'll do that as well. And you can see the subject is much more heavily affected by that. So we'll do the same thing. We'll brush that all out. Very quick job here. Very soft brush. Very easy. Not too difficult. And when we turn it off, turn it on, you can see that our background is significantly more dramatic. So fantastic. This is exactly where we want to be. So let's turn off the graduated filter tool and let's hit this with a matte finish, because this is really going to set off the mood of this image. So let's make our way back to the tone curve. Double click on the node second from the left here on our medium contrast curve. And then we're going to take the node all the way to the left and just drag it up some. And it's going to raise those blacks. Woo, it's looking good. I like it. Now at this point, if you're happy with it, you can always click plus on your preset and you're good to go. No further actions required. But I do want to clean this image up just a little bit, so I'm going to take my spot removal tool, or you can press Q on your keyboard, and just hit this area right here. And let's bring some grass in. And let's check this. Let's zoom in a little bit, see if it's even halfway convincing. It is not terrible. Look at the spot removal tool coming in clutch when my composition is terrible. Hiding that cropped foot underneath the grass using the spot removal tool. Let's go, Lightroom. Now, just to round out this image, I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of sharpening. Lightroom's default is 25. I like to go to 70. I shot this at ISO 100, and I don't see any game-breaking noise here, so I'll just close that. There's a few other things you can do if you want to. You could hit it with a vignette, make it even more dramatic, but I think from shooting at f1.2 as well as the graduated filters that we brought in, I think a vignette in this instance would be a little bit overkill. Oops, definitely don't do that. Don't add a white vignette. If you do that, don't. So there we have it. There's our dreamy black and white matte finish. I know when my client sees this, she's gonna be thrilled. Let's check out where we started. And the color really is not bad, and it could be a great color edit, but we're doing a black and white edit today, and I needed a picture for it, and I thought that this one worked well. and check out where we ended. Bam! I love it. So hey, if you learned something today, or if you like the edit, you like what we do, it would be awesome if you hit the like button. And if you're new, this is your first video, thanks for stopping by, and it would be super cool if you subscribed. Don't forget to hit me up on social media. I would love to hear from you. All of my information is down in the description. Well, I'm James Young with JamesYoungPhotography.com, and this is Teach Me How to Lightroom.